everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. So I'm a little bit excited because today I get to share with you my design team project for JunkWithSteph, and I love the way it's turned out. I love it when you have a vision or an idea and to get to the end and actually see how that vision has all culminated into one, what I think is beautiful outcome. It's super exciting. So firstly, I would like to thank Steph at JunkWithSteph for trusting me to showcase her beautiful digitals, and let's get to sharing. So I had shared with you the cover for this journal, not completed, but I had shared with you part of my process. Now I will tell you that when I decided to do a painted cover, I had shared with you that I really steer towards the fabric covers. So when I decided to do a painted cover, I was like, I don't know if I will love it or not love it. I need some sort of fabric. So I had the idea of using this doily on the outside, and I've not long completed it, and I love what it brings to the journal. So I'm super excited about that. Now, whoever has this journal, I haven't decided whether to sell it or to keep it myself. And I'll share with you a little bit more about why. But they had the choice of removing this doily. So I'll show you how that works. So first of all, I just wanted to share, I've popped, whoops, beautiful lace on the table. I've popped a little dangle that I made using, so I've used 2 of Steph's kits. I've used, well, essentially 3. So there's 2 Wildflower kits, and there is also a Floral Study Cards kit. And I've used those 3 kits of Steph's to incorporate them into this journal to create what I have. So this little image here was from the Wildflowers kit, and this is the outside or edge, spine even. And my beautiful ribbons, I've lost one of them, beautiful ribbons. And then that is the outside or page edge of my journal. I love the way that looks, I really do. And then the back is plain, and I love that. And the top there, you can see a little bit of detail. So that was a little hint of what's inside. So we'll open this. Now I have decided that tying this doily onto the outside will never be the same twice, and that's okay. So when I open this out, just going to lay my dangle down. When I open this out, that's how it looks. Now this doily has ribbon that is sewn, and I've actually hand stitched that onto the doily, and it, little sneak peek, is just threaded through between the last 2 signatures and tied in a knot at the top. So it's totally removable. If the owner wishes to take it off, they may decide to take it off and wash it. Because it's on the outside of my journal, I was like, if I don't attach it permanently, then they can take it off. They can pop it in the wash if they take the little dangle off, and it will be nice and clean and fresh. The ribbons here to tie it around the journal itself are just threaded through the doily. They're not actually attached permanently either. So it would be up to the person whether they leave those on there and wash it as is. There is a chance it will slip off, or they can remove them and pop them back in when they're finished. They might decide to hand wash them. They might want to replace them. So I've just threaded those through. And then my journal, I may just take the doily off, I think. So it just unties, and that just threads through, and then it can be removed. And I love that. I love the way that turned out. So my cover. So this is how I finished off my cover. Now, I created the cover with you, but I didn't do the lining inside, and I created the frame and the image with you but I didn't actually attach them to the journal on video. So I will share with you what I did there. So I'll just show you the cover, the real cover. I love it. I love everything about it. So what I ended up doing with the actual plate was I simply took my image. Now the image I have is the one that I did a second time. If you watch my previous video, you'll know that I used I will show you, the crazing, Distress Collage Medium Crazing from Tim Holtz over the top of one of the study cards from the Floral Study Cards kit from Steph. And it's given it a beautiful texture. It's not a rough texture, it's quite a smooth texture, but I really love the way that looks. And when I did it, I did add a little bit of bronzing wax to the image to see how I liked that. And I decided that I liked the pop of the white on this cover. So that's what I've gone with. I've done a second one and I've used that. So all I did was attach my piece of lace with some fabric glue. Then I used some fabric glue to attach my image to my frame at the back. And then I've used the fabric glue all over the back of it to attach that to the cover. I did contemplate whether I needed to pop something behind this image before I actually attached it to the cover, and I decided not to. I didn't want the extra bulk, and because the cover is a hard cover and it has the lace underneath, I decided that would be enough to protect the image. So, and then I've just taken a couple of my hand crocheted flowers and attached those to the spine as the finishing touch. So, okay, who's ready to take a peek inside? I know I am. Okay, so opening up. Now, I have done a hidden spine on this journal. It was actually my first time doing a hidden spine. You can see the book is a little bit stiff, but it still opens up okay. So the other thing I wanted to point out was with this finishing, I do have some splitting in the spine, and I am a little bit unsure how that will go. I love the fact that it's got that cracked look about it, simply because it has that vintage feel to me. But longevity wise, I'm just not sure how that will last. So that's part of the reason I've decided to, or I'm thinking about keeping. I've just realized my lace is upside down, but I actually really like it that way. Funny. Sorry, totally sidetracked. Yes, I'm just not sure how it will withstand the test of time, but I do actually really love the cracking in there. So I was like, maybe if I just keep it for a little bit and see how that goes. If I have to take my signatures out and replace the spine, then maybe I will do that. But I actually really love it like that. So, and I did mention, I did highlight that cracking with the bronze wax as well. So I don't know. It's up to you whether you decide to give this type of cover a go. I love it, but you know, that's just me. So anyway, so I did a hidden spine on the inside, and it was the first time I'd attempted it. I used a wet fabric glue, and I was really concerned that it hadn't adhered very well, but it seems to be okay now. So I was excited that that worked out. And on the inside of the front and back covers, I've just used a handmade recycled paper that I've made. It's quite it's on the thicker side, but I really love the look of it. So, and then I have one of Steph's beautiful images from her Wildflower kit, and as you may or may not have seen, these cover pages for my signatures using the kits, I've got double pages and I've sewn them together back to back to create pockets. So this one has a top loading pocket, and I've made this journal card. It's made using a tea stain manila folder, and then I've just added some of the images from Steph's kit. Sorry, I just need to pull up my sleeves. It's warmish in here today. Just used some of its beautiful images from her Wildflower kit, some on paper and some on tissue paper, a fabric embellishment and one of the crochet flowers as a topper, and I've sewn around the outside. So I did wonder whether I needed to pop in, as you can see, some thumb holes in the top, but I've decided against it. So this little flip out here I've attached as a belly band. So I've got a journal card using a book page snippet roll and one of the images from the floral study cards that I've printed onto tissue paper, and that is the back. I think they're gorgeous. I've used papers on the back and you'll see the same thing throughout. I was inspired by the colours in the wildflower pictures, so I've used my tea stained collage papers to complement Steph's kits because I wanted to accent the colours in the papers in the flowers. I will say, doing this journal, there's been a lot of words rolling around in my head regarding wildflowers, and so I ended up making some little labels to use in this journal because, well, I've made the labels using my tea stained backgrounds, and so they mesh in with the tea stained papers that I've used throughout the journal, following the same colour schemes and complementing these papers. And I really love the way that that idea has panned out, so I hope you don't mind, Steph. So this journal card here I've made just using tea stained manila folder. I have some tea stained manila folders and I've played with some colours, so I've just chosen colours that I thought worked with what I was doing in this journal. So I think this is a green, but it's very, very subtle, and I've used some of Steph's floral study card images that I had printed onto tissue paper. And one of the things I've also done in this journal is I've tried to keep it simple. I've got white laces, white fabrics, white stitching. None of my pockets or journal cards or tags or anything is what I would consider to be overdone or overly decorated. I've tried to keep it simple. I've tried to keep it minimalistic. I've also tried to keep it relatively flat. So underneath the label I've got a piece of tracing paper and just a really thin piece of sheeting as a tag topper, and then stitched. I did fussy cut some of the flowers from the digital kits. It was a little bit fiddly. If you're interested in knowing how I did that, because I don't think I would get a pair of scissors around them unless you have a really tiny pair, which I don't. So I actually used a craft knife to fussy cut them and a craft mat, and they worked fine. So they were lots of fun to add to the journal. And then this folds out. These bits here fold out, and there's journaling space all in the center. So just folding that back up, and that tucks back in there. This was much easier to do when the camera was off. There we go. And then this, I've actually tucked this into the little section or fold here. Otherwise, if I sit it behind the next one that's this size, there's two against each other, it falls straight through. So that's how I've got that to sit in there. This paper here is actually tea stain paper. It was a herbal tea that I used, and it started off pink and it actually dried in a really lovely grey tone. And I did that one day. We had the fire going and I was experimenting, and I went, oh my gosh, that would be perfect for this journal. So here it is. So a pocket here that I've collaged just onto a book page and stitched around. Again, keeping my embellishment simple, just a fabric cluster and a little bit of lace to top, and it's sewn around. And then I have a tea stain tag or tea stain manila folder tag, and I've just taken some of the beautiful images from the Wildflowers kit, and I did actually use my water brush to fussy cut those out, and it's left a little bit of a watermark around the edge, and I actually really love that. You can see here it's got quite a distinct line, and I was like, oh, it makes it feel even more vintage to me, so I was excited about that. And then just a really simple lace topper, and it's sewn around if I didn't mention that. And some graph paper that flips out, which has been tea stained. I have a little tuck here that I created using some scrap, and I've just attached some beautiful daisy ribbon to that. A journal card here that I've created using the book page snippet roll. Again, a simple fabric cluster, a little bit of lace to finish it off. One of the images that I fussy cut, and then that is the back of the journal card. I haven't used a lot of tea stained papers in this journal. Obviously this is tea stained. I've tried to steer away from the regular brown tea stain, so the only tea stain things I have are the actual signature papers. When I've created ephemera, I haven't used any of the tea stained paper. I've tried to stick to more not neutral tones. I guess for me, the tea stain papers signify a warm tone, and I've tried to stick to cool tones with my colours. That's what I'm trying to say. So hence the reason you won't see any brown tea stain paper on the backs of any of my journal cards. Okay, so this is actually a yellow tea stained paper. Then I have some, I think it was a diary page that I've just inked around. It's actually that beautiful cream colour, and I love that. I have a fabric flip. Now all of my fabric flips I believe I've made using this white bed sheet at the back, and it's very thin, which I love, but it does fray really easily, so I have put fray stop all the way around that. I just had the 2 pieces of fabric, and then I've topped it with a piece of lace trim. Okay, I have a little fold out book page here, and I have a tiny little Rita Donnelly flip, and I have a little cluster on there with an image from the Wildflowers kit. And then I've just taken some of that beautiful herbal tea stain paper that's in the grey and attached one of the little fussy cut wildflowers on there, and I love that. I think that's so pretty. Again, I have a pink tea stain paper, some, what are you? I think you're a notepad that I've tea stained, and then just a light air dried tea stain page in the centre of my signature. I had to be really careful not to over embellish with this journal because it is quite thick already, so that's why I've kept it minimalistic. That's why there is a lot of journaling pages or areas in this journal, and I love that. And I think it has just the right amount of embellishment. So I've created 2 little like library card pockets and little thumb hole at the top, and then when I've attached them, I've just popped this little piece of lace trim in between. So this is actually attached to the page, it isn't attached to the pockets, and I think that was really pretty. And then just some simple little tags, again sewn around the bedsheet topper at the top, and little fussy cut images from the Wildflowers kit, and again the backs. I love the colours, I really love the colours. And the one thing I did do was I took some of the pages, I took some of the paper from the digital kits that was blank. So the digital kits are basically a 2-page spread, and down the centre and on some of the edges, top and bottom and sides, there was this beautiful grey colour paper that didn't have any writing or images on. So I've used some of that to decorate the backs of the tags. Again, little flip out with the book page on the other side. This is, well, it's a little bit of an experiment really. It was made out of the Wildflowers paper, and I've popped a little piece of tracing paper in the centre. I wasn't sure how strong it would be, but it seems to be quite good. It does have a slightly more delicate feel than a vellum piece would have in there, I think. But again, this journal for me signifies delicate and simple and colourful, and that's kind of where my mind has gone. There's been so many words that have cropped into my mind while I've been making this, and now that I'm talking to you I can't think. But again, I have a little tag here using the floral study card image from Steph's kit, and it's just on some coloured tea stained manila folder, and I make different coloured tea stains, so that's what I've used to colour my manila folder. And I have again the label that I made and the little piece of tracing paper, and then I actually made a little snippet roll following Rachel from Roxy Creations, and I really love the way that's turned out. It's really thin. It's very textural to look at, but it's actually really thin. And so I had a lot of fun popping that in here, and I've just sewn all the way around that and then around the whole card to give it a little bit of extra detail. And I love the fact that that image sits right inside that window, so you get to see the whole image and the name, which is, I just think it's gorgeous. So again, more journaling space. I have another little pocket here, similar style to my double pockets in the library pocket styling. Can't get my words out. And then I've just made a little notebook. I watched a video that Gail did using some scraps, and I thought that was a really fun idea. So I've just glued my topper on and popped a little piece of lace trim. I've just sewn the booklet together. So if I can find my center, I've just sewn right across the top, and I've just popped one of the little fussy cut wildflowers onto the top of that so it pops out of the top of the pocket. Okay, more journaling space, lots of journaling space. And then the last page in my signature is a paper bag that I have decorated, again using one of the fussy cut flowers from the kit, a little fabric cluster, a little piece of lace at the bottom, and then the journaling card inside. I've used one of my tea stained kits, and I've just collaged the back of it with some tea stained paper that I had left over and stitched around the outside. I've got the floral card image underneath that I've just attached to my backing paper, and then I've covered that with the tracing paper, and I've sewn around it. Obviously I have a lace topper at the top, but I've sewn around it, and I've just sewn the edges of the tracing paper, but the bottom and top are left open, and I think that's really pretty. It makes the image really subtle. So I'm sorry I'm tripping on my words while I'm sharing this with you. I'm actually really excited to share. So yeah, my words aren't coming out right, unfortunately. And my last page in the signature is the other side of that double page of Steph's kit, and another one of the journaling cards made the same as the one in the front pocket. So I think that's really fun, and I love the way my little crocheted flower stops the tag from falling all the way into the pocket. That was an idea that I had. I wasn't sure it would work. So my second signature, again, the beautiful floral paper. I think that the images where the two signatures meet up, I just think that's so pretty. They're soft, they're delicate, they're colourful, just gorgeous. Okay, opening up, we have our top loading pockets, and as much as I tried to stick to soft and delicate and small and thin and all of those things, I have actually broken my own rules, and I've used my little dangles in here on my journaling cards, and I really love the way they look. This journaling card, again, sticking to my very simple minimalistic idea. All I did was stitch around the outside. I've punched holes in the top of my card, and I believe it was 1/4 of an inch wider than the holes on the actual dangle. That was how I worked out how I wanted it to look. I wanted it to sort of swing. I didn't want it to be straight up and down, if that makes sense. So I've made a little fabric cluster to go in the back. Now I ummed and ahed about how to do the fabric cluster so that I could thread my crochet string through. I've used crochet string or crochet cotton to attach my dangle. And I did consider putting eyelets in, but I felt that that would add more bulk. So what I did was I made the cluster, and I've just got 3 really thin white pieces of fabric, or it's actually like a lacy fabric. And then I've used a little piece of lace trim across the top, and I've sewn that. And then when I poked my holes through, I've been really, really careful. I actually held it up to the light so that I could see where my stitches were, and I've poked the holes through the fabric and ribbon using my awl, making sure that I missed the stitches. So I've then sewn, I used a sewing needle, like a wool needle, and I've sewn my thread through the journal card, then through my cluster, and then through my dangle, and vice versa, to get it to go through. So, and I felt like that little piece of ribbon, well, it's actually a ribbon and lace, I think. It's offered enough strength and stability to make me feel confident that it's not going to fray away. I felt like if I did it without that across the top, there was a chance that eventually over time the fabric would fray or split and it would come off. So that was how I did that. So just attached my dangles. I've used the eyelets on the journal card and my fussy cut flowers from the Wildflowers kit down the bottom. And I think that's so pretty. There's journal space on the back. And you can flip that up and you could write under there as well. So that just sits in my pocket. I'm even being awkward. Like everything I'm doing is crazy. Okay, some journaling space. My middle signature I've left relatively undecorated because my journal was getting really bulky. I was getting concerned it was going to be too much for the spine. So I did actually take a couple of pages out of my signatures as well. I know I shared with you when I made the signatures or put the signatures together, I shared with you what I had in them, and I've taken a couple of those pages out again because it was getting too bulky. So I did keep a fabric flip in the center signature, and I do have an altered envelope page that I created, and I really love that. I think that's just gorgeous, using the Wildflower papers and my tea stained digitals. And so lots of journaling space, the middle of the signature, again more journaling, the other side of that altered envelope, book page, and then more journaling space. And I do have a belly band in here. It's made out of really thin fabric, so again the bed sheet with a really thin piece of lace. It's actually a curtain lace, and this really pretty floral, it's almost like a, I don't know what you call it, chiffon is what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's right, but it's organza maybe. Really sheer is what I'm trying to say. Lace that I've sewn the lace around the outside a couple of times, and that is what's holding it all together. And I did add fray stop to the outside of that belly band just to stop that fabric from fraying. Tripping on my words. Just to stop that fabric from fraying. It was a bit of a tongue twister. Okay, so a journaling card made from my book page snippet roll, and again, little piece of fabric, little image that I fussy cut, and one of my little labels. And Dance in the Breeze. These papers made me think of the wildflowers dancing in the breeze on a beautiful sunlit summer's afternoon. So that was where that came from. I've just sewn around the edges, added some lace across the edge, and again, that is the back of that journal card. And this is my other tag that I've made using my dangle. Same thing, exactly the same process, and the little fussy cut flowers from the digital kit of Steph's. I just love the way they look. They were fiddly, but honestly, seeing how they've turned out, they were so worth it. And that is the back. And I did leave these threads really long. I didn't have to, but I actually liked the way they looked. So, okay. My beautiful wildflower paper down here. I've got the lace across the edge. And that's the end of my second signature. And then my last signature. Again, doesn't that look so pretty? I just love that. With the beautiful soft laces attached to the edges of the paper. So fun. Okay, opening it up, my last signature, I had the side loading pockets, and the idea for my signature cover pages came from an altered book that I'm working on, and I decided to replicate that in this journal. So I have a little card here, just from a, what do you call those? From an index card. And I have some of my tea stain paper at the back with the beautiful wildflower paper at the front and just a simple lace topper. I should mention that I've inked around all of the pages and ephemera using the black soot Tim Holtz Distress ink. So, and then this is another little flip out, and it flips this way. So I won't pull that right out, but I think that's really fun, and I've attached it as a belly band also. Just a little cluster, paper cluster, very thin, very fine paper collage on the front, and then just a little bit of fabric and lace curtain on the front to decorate that. And I think that's really pretty. Very simple, but very pretty. And then this little journal card here, again from the book page snippet roll. I have a thin piece of lace fabric at the back and one of the floral study cards, one of the little labels, and I've sewn around it a couple of times. I did around the corners on this one, and I think that's really, really pretty. Okay. Popping that back in there, giving me a little resistance. Okay, another little pocket here, and following the same principles as a pocket I did in the first signature. Very simple, collaged book page and a little fabric cluster. I've made this little bow using my cotton threads that I keep from my sewing and from fraying the fabrics. And I think that looks really sweet. Little lace topper. I have a tea stain journal card, which is manila folder that's been tea stained, and the images from the floral study cards. Lace topper at the top and just sewn around. And then another little Rita Donnelly flip. Again, a little cluster, mostly using papers and one of the images from the Wildflower kit, little piece of fabric, and this is some leftover cotton from my overlocker, and I've just glued that on. I think they're a really, really fun embellishment. If you have an overlocker and you use it and you're throwing those little pieces away, don't keep them, because they are such a fun thing to use. And then again, another piece of the tea stain paper that I've just inked around and added one of the fussy cut flowers from the kit. More journaling space. I have another one of the fabric flips, again, kept simple, but I think it's really beautiful. Some more journaling space. And the center of my signature. Little library pockets, and I will show you the journal cards that I have inside with a little fussy cut flowers from the Wildflower kit. I just think little fussy cut wildflowers are so fun. This was a Little bellflowers they are with big leaves. I thought they were really pretty. I have some messy stitching. Love that. More journaling space. Okay, I'm pulling that out before you've even had a chance to look. So this is another one of my tracing paper pockets. And you can see that beautiful image from the Floral Study Cards kit from Steph, peeping through the tracing paper. I just think that's so fun. So another one of my little labels over the top of the tracing paper, wild and free. That's what wildflowers are, they're wild and free. A little bit more of that fabric snippet that I made following Rachel from Roxy Creation. And the back, so pretty. More journaling space. Another one of my library pockets, and another one of the little booklets that I've made using one of the little fussy cut flowers as a focal point. I just think that's so cute. Okay, I was like, this is really thick, but there's actually a pocket on the other side. And this was using a scrap as well. The scraps actually came from creating these pockets here. So that's what I've used to create these little tucks, and just a little lace and ribbon trim, and then a journaling card from my book page snippet roll, little fabric cluster, fussy cut flower from the Wildflowers kit, and a little piece of lace. Okay, book paper, and the last page in this signature has another altered bag. Gosh, that's pretty. And the Wildflower paper, some of my tea stain paper. It has a little piece of cheesecloth with one of the little fussy cut wildflower images, and then a little piece of lace at the bottom. And I followed that lace through across the bottom of the bag. And then we have another one of the little tags made out of my tea stained collage paper, and one of the images from the Floral Study Cards kit of Steph's, with the tracing paper over the top, the lace topper, and then sewn around the outside, and just some journaling paper on the back. So pretty. And I did break my rule. I've got some tea stain paper there. There's an exception to every rule, isn't that what they say? So the last pocket in this journal has this little journal card made from an index card, and again my lace and again my tea stained paper at the back, and the beautiful wildflower images on the top, and the lace trim. Goodness me, I cannot believe I've been tripping on my words so much. And the lace across the edge. Now I did make this envelope, and I was going to sew this into, it's upside down, I was going to sew this into the journal, into the middle signature, but I decided at the last minute it was too thick. So I've just left it sitting in the back of this journal, and I think it's really pretty. I couldn't not keep it with the journal. So that's my little envelope, and that's the inside. So I've just tucked that into the back cover, and that is the last page of my signature. So there you have my beautiful wildflower journal, and I love it. I love it so much. It's so fat. It really is so fat. But I did decide that if I was to sell this, whoever takes it, whoever is the new owner, could take out some of the ephemera if it got too big. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So a huge thank you again to Steph from JunkWithSteph for trusting me with her digitals. I will say that using these papers have really made me step outside my comfort zone, and I love the fact that they've done that, and I love what they have made me create. And trust me when I say made me, because the idea for this journal came to me one morning as I was sitting and having my morning cuppa, and I had planned on doing the dangles, with these kits, and I was going to focus solely on the dangles. And I was having my cuppa one morning and I was like, oh, if I did a journal with those papers, I could do this and I could do that and I could do, and in that one cuppa, I had determined my cover, the style of my cover, how I wanted to do my book plate, how I wanted to set up my pages, with the altered book style pockets. I couldn't believe it, so I just felt I had to create that journal once the idea popped into my head. So okay, so I hope you love this journal as much as I do. It's made me so happy, and every time I step into my craft room and I see it, I just have the biggest smile on my face. So I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed creating it. I look forward to seeing you all soon, everybody. Stay safe, stay inspired, and happy crafting. Bye for now.